Okay, so, get the camera angle a bit better. There we are. What are we talking about today? Well, let's get the shilling out of the way. Maybe that'll give me a chance to think. Please like, share, subscribe, comment. If you feel like supporting me, there is a donation link for PayPal below. If you don't like PayPal, let me know. We'll work something out. If you really want to give me money. Let's see. Projects in progress include an attempted video on a deadline. I have 2 days, or actually, well, technically 2 days from right now, if I'm going to try and do it. The plan is to have a video about ginger erasure in pop culture, in lieu of a Sultans stream this week. Bezic is off pretending to have a social life, and leaving the rest of us in the lurch. No, just kidding. Go ahead, have a good time, buddy. What else have I got going on? So the plan is I'm going to try and get this ginger erasure video done for Saturday, roughly in the same time zone that, or time slots that Sultans normally takes up. What else have I got going on? I've actually started working on the audio for the last episode of Venture, which will be renamed Leaving Day when I post it. I'm slowly boomering my way through new software. I'm horrendously out of love with Streamlabs. My streams keep cutting out. I don't know why. I suspect it's my dog shit internet, which is something else I have to try and get dealt with. What else? Tonight, the hopefully first gameplay session of Shades of Dominion with Colonel Conservative. Yes, I know I normally drink coffee during these. However, I just had a coffee not too long ago, and it's not morning. So, water. Besides, it's horrendously muggy here, which you can probably tell from my nice, moist glow. On the upside, my tan is starting to come in and looking a lot less pink. Yay, ginger! What else have I got going on? I'm currently starting work on a project, a commission for a replica sword made out of wood for my friend Christopher Everard, whose writing I have been promoting. He's running a Kickstarter, or planning a Kickstarter, I'm not sure if it's been started yet, to get his books translated into English so he can try to get into that market. Sorry about the sucking my teeth. I had a piece of pork stuck there from breakfast, which was actually leftovers from yesterday, and will probably be supper. I made a big pot of cheese sauce pasta, which is going to be my last pasta meal for quite some time. I'm going back to the slightly less than keto diet that I've been doing for the last year and a half. I loosened up a little bit, but going to have to go back to being rigid with my discipline on it. What else? To finish telling you about what was in the dish, black olives, roasted pork chops. Well, I roasted the entire dish, but cheese sauce pasta, which was from a ready-made meal, so that's even worse for you. Cheese sauce pasta, black olives, pork chops, which I roasted then chopped up, red onion, because goddamn red onion is tasty. And then for the base of the pan, I used vegetable oil, I think it was canola. Some margarine because I was short on canola oil. What else did I put in? And then I spiced it with a lot of fresh pepper. I used one of those little mills you can buy in the store that comes with the medley. A significant portion of hot sauce. I would have used some Worcestershire sauce as well, but the Worcestershire didn't quite smell right. It was an older bottle, so... what else did I use? Mustard. Surprisingly, mustard is one of those things that when you actually cook with it, gives things a somewhat oriental flavor. Go figure, it's an oriental spice. Quick tip if you want to if you're a poor like me and you want to liven up your ramen a little bit, put about a teaspoonful of prepared yellow mustard in there, and it's actually pretty tasty and gives it a much more oriental flavor, at least to my Western palate. What else did I use? Garlic powder, onion powder, because you can never go wrong with more onion. Yes, there is French in my ancestry. Fuck off. I think what else I used. And a tiny bit of salt. What I did basically, I mixed up the wet ingredients, put the Parquet, didn't mean to use an actual brand name, but the margarine in with the oil, mixed the hot sauce and mustard with that, or rather I started with the oil, mixed hot sauce and mustard into that, put all my spices in there, onion, garlic powder, or onion powder, garlic powder, what else did I use? See, this is the thing with me when I cook. I generally go by gut feeling, what I feel like tasting that day. So, I'm not a great cook. Certainly not educated as a cook. But I tend to think that a certain degree of creative freedom is handy. Yeah, so once I had the sauce put together, I was preheating the oven at the same time, so when I realized I needed margarine, I just scooped a little bit out of the tub, put it in with the sauce, which was already mixed, put that on the stove, because the heat from the oven itself came up through the range and was melting the margarine. Once that was all mixed together, then I took my pork chops, which this might be a Western phenomenon, it might be a very common phenomenon, but what I do with my pork chops is I buy them fresh, and then I freeze them, and then I take them out of the fridge, once they're good and solid, out of the freezer rather, put them in the fridge for a couple of days, generally at some sort of incline, because for whatever reason, they're dyeing meats. They're putting red dye in a lot of the meats we're getting here. I assume that's to improve the appearance. However, with hamburger, when it started to happen, I started to have stomach issues from hamburger, which I'd never had before this. So that's not helpful. And what happens is basically all that dye and everything drains. I drain as much of it out as I can by using that incline. And then when I go to actually prepare the meal, I'll put the pork chops in the sink, in the tray, strip the plastic off, drain off what fluid has run out of them, which is generally just water and this dye, because bloody pork chops are not really a taste sensation. And then I'll actually even go to the step further of rinsing them with cold water. Anyway, once all that was done, I layered the pork chops on top of the mixed spice oil blend, sliced my onion, red onion, layered that on top, and then sprinkled a bit of salt on that. The salt serves two purposes then. You flavor your food, but you also induce the vegetables to lose water. And that improves your flavor and your cooking. Because I cover the whole thing with tinfoil, poke a few holes, and put that in the oven for roughly an hour on 360. Turn it once. And then Once that's done, I'll uncover it, cook it for another 20 minutes, or until it's dry, whichever comes first. If it gets too dry, you can't actually use that mixture for a spoon over sauce. And then what I did was make the pre-made pasta dish in a big bowl, big pot, which didn't need nearly as much water as one might think. Get that drained. As I'm draining it, get the cheese sauce in the bottom of the hot pan, because that causes the cheese sauce to spread out. Dump your pasta back in, and then I dumped, or scooped, I should say, everything out of the roasting pan in on top of the pasta. Stir it all up together. It's a great meal. It's incredibly filling. I'll probably end up having at least one more meal of it. I've already had 3 actually, because I made this for lunch yesterday. And we'll probably end up eating it again tomorrow. Potentially the last meal will be breakfast tomorrow of it. No, I don't get sick of eating the same thing for 2 or 3 days straight, because I like my food. I cook a lot of flavor into my food. And yeah, the texture of pork, black olives. The black olives go in with everything else. Drain them, rinse them, drain them again. You don't have to totally drain them, but the more you get out, the less water is going to be in your roasting pan. So it's kind of a balancing act there. And I just realized I spent 10 minutes talking about food. But it is incredibly filling. Loads of protein, because it was 5 fairly thick pork chops. They were boneless pork chops, so the flavor was not quite where I would have liked it to be. But because I was mixing it all together, I didn't want to have to frig around with separating meat from bone. Keep the fat. I keep all the fat from pork. If there's loose fat in the packaging, then I'll take that, and that just immediately gets thrown away. But I'm very much of the opinion that animal fat is good for you. Now, obviously not too much, because, we don't want this, but a certain degree of animal fat must be good for you, because we're biologically adapted to consume it. And that's true for every species, or every subclass, subgroup, breed, race, whatever. It's true for every group of humans that animal fat is good for us. Obviously, as I said, in moderation. Now, the fat on these pork chops, and the thing about fat is, too, it gives more flavor. And not tenderizes, but it moisturizes the meat. Dry meat is a real pain in the ass to chew. And if your meat is dry, you're not going to enjoy your meal. And if you enjoy your meal, that's way more important than it being healthy, in my opinion. Now, obviously, nutrition is very important as well. I generally try to avoid anything that I know is highly processed or has a lot of preservatives or chemical components. I guess my topic today is going to be nutrition, since I'm almost 15 minutes into talking about food. Or at least diet, whatever. And part of the reason that this is going to be my last pasta dish for a while is because I'm taking part in the Sultans waistline attack tracking. It's a bit of just a bragging rights competition for weight loss, fitness increase that the Sultans are doing as a group, just for more for shits and giggles than anything else. Bragging rights, I expect. But the competitive nature of men makes it easier for us to do things that way when we have an end goal in mind, or someone to kind of shove out of the way and take the prize, kind of thing. I don't expect to win. I weigh, the last time I went to the doctor, I weighed in at 309.6 pounds. Now, I suspect that's up slightly in the last couple of months since I've slipped on my dieting. But it is also down roughly 80 pounds from my peak. I was just under 400 pounds when I went to school a few years ago in 2019. And I've seen pictures of me from then. I was... girthy is not even close. Think Volstagg. If you would put a helmet with horns on my head, I would have been a dead ringer for Volstagg from the Marvel comics. Not the Ray Price? Is that the guy who played him in the movies? I think so. Same guy from Burn Notice, I think, or Damages? I can't remember what the show was. The guy who played Firefly in the G.I. Joe movies. In any case, small steps are a good choice when it comes to changing your diet. Don't expect to do a crash diet and have that work. Whether you're male or female, it will not work. You are not genetically predisposed to that working. What happens is your body will start going, oh shit, we're starving. Hold on to every single calorie. Store it all in fat. We're going to need it. You don't need to do that. And that's also part of the reason why you should keep your fat consumption relatively low. As I said, I prefer animal fat for flavor. I would rather have butter than margarine, but butter just doesn't keep. Not as long as it would take for me to actually use it. I don't eat a lot of fried food. And because I'm avoiding things like toast, breads in general, there's really no point in me having butter in the house. What else? No, that's not to say I don't love to cook with butter. I like to bake on occasion. I made an absolutely amazing pecan pie recipe. Turned out it was Trisha Yearwood's recipe. I see why Garth Brooks got fat. Oh yeah. Yeah. Southern cooking. But, you know, more than anything, lots of water. And drinking water about a half an hour before a meal will actually lower your appetite. Or at least curb it slightly. There is no amount of water you can drink that will allow you to not get hungry. And too much water can make you very, very sick. But when I say too much, you'd have to probably drink a 50-gallon drum of water before you'd really start to notice. Now, that said, there was a water chugging competition at a college a few years back where a girl apparently developed hydrotoxicosis. Now, if you're not a medical person, you won't know what that means. If you are a medical or scientifically literate person, those words should terrify you slightly, because hydro means water, toxic means it was poisonous, and osis means it was something you gave yourself. So that means that this person who gave themselves hydrotoxicosis drank so much water that they poisoned themselves with water. They didn't drown, they didn't choke, they killed themselves by drinking too much water. That's amazing. And yeah, I thought guys were crazily competitive. Coming up on 19 minutes. So yeah, food. Who knows? Who knew? Fat guy can talk about food. But you know, it's not just food if you want to lose weight. It's calories in versus calories out. So you have to up your activity level. Don't do a lot of sitting around. If you find you're sitting around for an hour, get up, move around a little bit. Even if it's just, you know, I hate to say it, but if you need to find a reason to go for a walk, then walk to buy a chocolate bar. If that's what it takes. While you're going to be increasing your calorie intake and intaking sugars and all that sort of stuff, at least you're moving. And again, it's balance. You have to balance the cardiovascular benefit of a walk with the dietary drawback of a chocolate bar. If you're like me, chocolate is one of the things that it's very hard to break. I suspect that because of the oxytocin in chocolate, were I in a relationship, an intimate relationship, chocolate would cease to be something I would crave, because the oxytocin would already be in my brain. One can hope. Plus, good cardio, having a relationship. Well, on that note, you guys take it easy. I will talk to you again. Love you all. Rise and rise again until lambs become lions. Bye-bye.